1470, 100.3 WMBD, TNA, total nonstop action, Danny. Wrestling is at the Civic Center tomorrow. Now, they're going to be doing a live show, and then they're going to do another show, I believe, that's not going to be a live television show, but pretty exciting stuff. And Mr. Anderson, Mr. Ken Anderson, is going to be one of the featured wrestlers tomorrow night. Nice to see you, Ken. Nice to have you in our studio.
Good to be here.
And to Peoria. Have you ever been to Peoria before?
I have many times.
Wrestling or
wrestling?
Just okay,
yeah.
And
I grew up in Wisconsin.
Yeah, Midwest guy.
So I never actually got down here, until I started wrestling. But
And,
I've probably been here a dozen times since I started wrestling on the both WWE and now with Impact,
right?
TNA. So.
Explain that to me right there. We were talking about that a little bit ago. It's TNA, Impact. Is those interchangeable?
Yeah, it's just yeah.
Okay.
It's I guess it's technically Impact Wrestling now, but it's under the it's TNA Entertainment Incorporated.
Right.
Or
and is it Hulk's? Is it Hulk Hogan's company? And
no,
his, or
no, it's
company?
actually Dixie Carter's company, not the Dixie Carter from.
That was going to freak me out. From whatever that TV show was.
Right.
Yeah.
No. But it's Dixie Carter's company, and she basically just brought Hulk in about 3 years ago. He got here just before I did. And, he's just sort of a figurehead and another character in our show.
Yeah.
And then Eric Bischoff.
Eric Bischoff also. They both came in at the same time. I think it was sort of a package deal.
Yeah, and I remember them in the heyday of the NWO and the Wolf Pack with Nash and all those, Razor Ramon and all those guys. That was and they're kind of doing that same thing with Aces and Eights, that group kind of thing. Right?
A little bit. We're trying, I guess there are a lot of parallels, and people who have been fans for a long time see those parallels, so we don't want to go. Obviously, we don't want to
be too close.
Mimic,
right,
or be a carbon copy of the NWO.
This is a weird statistic, but the other day Dan and I ran across this list of the top 10 things on Wikipedia that are most written about and changed, and a lot of it's government stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But in number 4 position was professional wrestling.
Really?
It is unbelievable. And last night I was just reading up on you a little bit, so I went there because I don't always believe everything there, but I was reading the amount of detail about every aspect
got my
of
dog's
wrestling.
name on there.
But you in particular,
who I'm good friends with.
On July 3rd, 2004,
absolutely.
he went to lunch at Big Willie's, and then it was unbelievable detail.
I believe I remember it used to be this way. I'm not sure that it still is, but you used to be able to go on and change things yourself.
Yeah,
right.
I think you still can. There's some restrictions there, but the fans are.
There's really no vetting.
But no, a little bit. But the fans. Tell us about your fans. I mean, that it must be really cool. Yeah, because they're so passionate.
It's just, I'm a normal guy, so it's weird for me to, when you say stuff like that. Honestly, it's strange, but the wrestling fans are a special breed of human being. In that, I mean that, in the best possible way. They're very passionate individuals, and it's. I've always looked at wrestling sort of like I don't know if you've ever been to a Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Yeah, you bet.
But the people in the audience throw toast at the screen, and they throw rice, and
squirt guns.
And they suspend their disbelief for a few hours and really enjoy themselves and totally immerse themselves in the product, and that's
that's cool.
We're telling stories of good versus evil.
Yeah,
and you say yay for this guy, you say boo for this guy,
and what's really interesting though is that and you can compare it to other outlets of entertainment and all that, but you get immediate feedback.
Yes, absolutely. If something you're doing is working or not. And that's kind of the beauty and where the art lies in our business, is that people don't realize that they think that it's all scripted and predetermined, and it is to a degree, like, who's going to win or lose. But most of the time, like for an example, I wrestled The Undertaker in Manila in the Philippines once. Mm-hmm. And I went up to him before the show, and I said, "What do you want to do tonight?" And he said, "I don't know, work my leg, and at some point I'll drop you on your head." And that was all he said to me. He said, "Okay, got it." And I said, "Yep." And we went out and did 35 minutes and tore the house down. So a lot of that stuff is done on the fly, and what I'm basically getting at is that you listen to the fans, and they're responding to certain things or not responding to certain things, and you have to be able to adapt and change on the fly.
It's live theater with no script. You just have some parameters.
Right.
That's all you have.
Bullet points.
And the bullet points, and that's why it's so cool, because every night's different.
Yep.
Every game.
The physicality of it. I mean, do you play sports?
Yeah.
What'd you play?
I played football. I was a swimmer. I ran track, and I was also involved in some martial arts like taekwondo and eskrima.
Can any of that prepare though for the grind?
To a certain degree, but we've had a lot of professional football players, basketball players, MMA fighters who will tell you that they've never been more injured in their lives. MMA fighters say, they practice 6 months out of the year to fight. They fight twice a year, maybe.
Right.
We're wrestling 2, 3, 4, 5, sometimes 7 days a week. When we do these longer overseas tours, we don't take breaks, and we wrestle 52 weeks a year. We don't get an off season. So yeah,
unless you get injured.
Unless you're injured, that's the only time you really get time to rest up. And somebody said a long time ago, we're injured all the time. We just deal with we're injured more injured than the average person walking down the street.
You go overseas, that's a whole nother revved up.
It is
crowd over there, isn't
Absolutely.
it?
And what is the difference there? And where do you like to go overseas? Is there a particular part of the world that really just like, man, we're going to Japan or wherever?
Japan is probably
Japan one of
my
them?
favorite place on planet Earth besides people always ask me, where do you like to travel to?
Right.
There is nothing like the United States of America. I'm serious. When you go to these other countries and you drive around and you eat their food and you ride on their roads and it's
try to
and
buy
you
something
shop
at
in
a
their
store.
stores and things like we have it. I mean, the difference between the United States and Canada is there's a huge gap there. So I prefer staying in the United States, but I love going to Italy, Germany. It's really hard to pick one.
But Japan's fans are rabid, aren't they?
And not only are they rabid, but they're so nice. They're so respectful. Here in America, somebody will stick something in your face and say, sign this. I remember I was in a GameStop one time with my wife before a show, and some lady with her 5-year-old kid said, "You're not going anywhere." and made like she was going to grab her kid and come back. And I almost said something to her, and then I saw that 5-year-old, and I thought, I'm not going to punish the 5-year-old for the mother's
indiscretion.
Right. But, I mean, the difference between here and Japan is the people will, sir, may I please have an autograph? And a lot of times they give you gifts.
Really?
It's crazy.
Cool.
They have a martial culture, and they really respect the warrior, don't they?
Yeah, they do. They do.
Cool.
Yeah.
Ken Anderson, Mr. Anderson at the Civic Center tomorrow night. You can get your tickets at the Civic Center box office, of course. Bring your family. My kids are very excited, by the way. My kids, it's weird because they gravitate. Every kid. I was the same way.
Me too.
You probably were too.
Yeah.
You just see it on TV and you go, oh, that's really super cool.
Yeah,
and you get pulled in.
I actually was not a fan as a kid.
No kidding.
It took me until I was in my 20s.
Really? That's a little unusual, probably.
And
but,
when I did, watch it for the first time.
Right.
Well, it wasn't for the first time, but when I got into it,
yeah.
I was like, man, I've been missing out. I really felt that.
Who are you wrestling tomorrow?
I have no iddia.
You don't know yet?
Okay. That's the beauty. That's another part, of the art is that a lot of times they tell us a couple hours before you go out.
No kidding.
Here's who you're working with.
Are there
tonight.
guys that because you have more experience with them, like me and Dan? Dan and I have been doing this for a long time. When either one of us goes on vacation, no knock against anybody who sits in here, but we have a rhythm. We know each
you
other's
guys
style.
can finish each other's sentences.
Right. Right. So are there guys like that you really you're going to have a great experience when you work with them?
Absolutely.
And who are those guys?
Kurt Angle, Jeff Hardy, Bully Ray.
Right. They see what's coming. You see what's coming. Everybody knows where this is going to go and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, we've worked with each other so many times that you don't even need to say anything. Right. It's just a look.
Jeff Hardy's crazily acrobatic, isn't he?
He is. Yeah. He is paying for it.
Yeah.
You know, his body's really taken a beating over the years.
Hey, what did you think of Mickey Rourke, the wrestler? Did you like that movie?
I loved it.
Isn't that a great...
It really was, and you know, it was the darker side of our business.
Sure.
And it was the deepest, darkest holes of, you know, I know people like that.
Sure.
But I know more people that were wise with their finances and put some money away or were able to segue into a career. And
now, do you have children? You mentioned your wife.
You know what? I do not. I do not have kids, right? But I guess this is the first place I'm saying this. I've never said this before, but we just found out we're having twins. So.
Oh, very good.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
You think you're tired now, brother?
Yeah.
That's all I gotta say. And I got a million of them. We know what's going on.
Yeah, I always jump in head first.
That is
exciting.
Right? So, that is very cool. Congratulations.